And there you go, your typical Amsterdam picture right here. So here near the canals, you have bikes everywhere, people on boats. It's awesome. It's a great atmosphere. People waving, it's great. You know, that's typical of Amsterdam. It just feels like a very loose city. You know, it's everything is possible here. Even to be crazy, you know, everywhere where you go actually you smell the cannabis as well. It's, you know, Amsterdam is famous for it.
Yeah. Oh no, sorry.
The funny thing is, if you haven't been in the Netherlands for quite a while, you really start to notice how many people are on bicycles and how many bicycles are around the city. It's just crazy. I mean, the amount of bicycles here, my god. And also you have to look everywhere constantly because, you know, people on bicycles will just drive you off your socks. The Netherlands used to be very famous during that time for its trade. They used to go to Indonesia, Philippines, Japan, everywhere in that area, and even go to the Caribbean as well. And they used to bring a lot of trade goods with them, like a lot of spices. And those stairs that you can see in front of those buildings that I showed you represented the wealth in such a way that the more stairs you had, the more wealth you had. So most of those buildings were owned by ship captains or, you know, very important people. And you see a lot of them around the canals here in Amsterdam. So now you know at least a little bit of history, and you still find a lot of those things back here. Something else that I actually enjoy about Amsterdam are these parking spots. Yes, and exactly as you can see, these are basically at the edge to the water. The fun thing is, do you know how many times it actually goes wrong that somebody doesn't brake enough or doesn't brake on time and actually the car just gets in the water? A lot of times. And I'm actually not joking. So for me, it's actually always quite strange to walk in Amsterdam. Mainly the reason is that Amsterdam is always being so hyped up by the tourist industry. Well, I'm sure that there are better places, and I'm definitely show you another place later on which I like a lot more. But you know, I don't know, I think Amsterdam is really crowded, which of course all major cities, but for some reason, I don't know, I think it's you know, super expensive in a lot of ways. Like hotels here are really expensive. Houses are, if you want to rent a house for yourself, you want to live here, it's crazy. I mean, I pay quite a lot of money in Prague where I live, but here it's probably even more. Sure, the salaries are a lot higher, but anyway. And like I said earlier, like, sure, the gay pride is here today, but it's so much more crowded even then. I mean, I'm sure that not everybody comes for the gay pride, right? Anyway, I really could get a drink somewhere. So that building that I just showed you is a building with a lot of history, and not a very positive history, because that's actually the old house of Anne Frank, who was during the World War II was a Jewish girl who actually was hiding in this house with her family until somebody, I think it's a family relation or like a friend of the family, basically betrayed them and told the Germans that they were hiding in there. She kept a diary all the time from when she was in the house until she was actually in a concentration camp. And unfortunately she died. together with most of her family in a concentration camp during World War II, and except her father is the only survivor. Luckily for him, he lived until he was somewhere in his 80s or 90s. But that's a super big history here in Amsterdam. You can Google it if you want, just Google Anne Frank, and there you can find her diary and all the things that she wrote in there during the occupation, of course, in World War II. Or you can probably buy her diary in a store near to you, and it will tell you everything about, you know, how she hid away from the Germans, for how long, day by day, she told the story. And basically it goes all the way through, like I said, to the concentration camp. So it's basically about the occupation of the Germans here in the Netherlands until she died. So, like I said, not so fun history, but it's very important history actually of the Netherlands itself. You can visit it. They made a huge touristic attraction out of it. I think it's good that they did, but not that you have to pay for it, which I think is kind of ridiculous, because it's something, such a big history part, such a sad history. I don't think that you have to, you know, ask money for that to get informed by it. So mostly it's for people who, of course, who have no idea about Anne Frank, or who have not got it on school subjects, or but still it's very impressive. And if you're here in Amsterdam and you want to see some museums, it's called museums, even worse, just check it out. Just go in there, and probably you will be very captivated by the story that's being told there in the house. Let's go to a different district, because this is kind of like the outskirts of the city center where I am now. I'm gonna go back to the city center because there's a few things that I want to show you. It's a little bit longer walk than, let's say, like if you're in Prague in the city center. You can see Prague in the city center within like half a day. It's a little bit more stretched out here. It also has to do because the buildings that we all see around us, many of them are houses, but not like in Prague that they're houses for like 50 families, but they're mostly houses for 1 or 2. So it's, you know, lower buildings, more spread out, so it takes you a little bit more to get to places. Anyway, the weather is still okay. It started to get really windy, a little bit dark here and there, but hey, you know, so far when I left Prague, I said to you guys that it was weather warnings and thunderstorms and whatever, so I'm super lucky at the moment. I cannot complain. Oh, green light. New bridge being built, I guess. Now I'm actually walking into a side street, because what I was telling you guys about the houses with the stairs, that if you had a double stair in these times, you were really, really, really wealthy. So there are quite a lot of them in this street. It is actually a very nice street to look at. It has this typical Amsterdam picture that you always see, right? I mean, it's really beautiful. Look at this. I mean, I love this architecture, right? It really is beautiful and fascinating, to be honest, as well. I've always enjoyed that it's still here, even after all those years, of course. And the building itself, you know, when you look at it, it's in really good shape. They are called herenhuizen in Dutch. It basically means gentleman houses. And these houses on the outside are really well maintained, well kept. They are really gorgeous. Like I said, because if you live here and you live in one of those houses, well, you know, you pay millions, and it's not even a joke, you pay millions and millions of euros to have a house like this. So that means that you also have, of course, you know, the money to do the upkeep. Police on the boat. Really. Yeah, I always enjoy it. So let's see if we can get back to the city center. Well, I think I found the gate right. And that's why it's so super busy everywhere, apparently. There's so many people. Unbelievable. And it goes on and on and on, because all the way in the distance you can see the central station. So I don't know where they're coming from, but oh my god. Yeah, a lot. Of course, one of the locations that everybody knows in Amsterdam is the red light district. However, it's super overrated. That's like literally now only one more street and that's it. It's a very touristic trap, or well, touristic location. I wouldn't even call it a trap, except that everything is super expensive, of course. And also you cannot film there, definitely not. If you get caught with like filming things, there's a big chance that they just basically, you know, ask your memory stick of your camera and you basically lose everything, which is for me something I don't want to risk. So basically the red light district is like in the street behind, but really guys, if you come to Amsterdam for that, there are other places with a lot more of these districts. But you know, Amsterdam's well known for it, but I think that it's slowly closing down because of the new city council that they have here. They're really not interested in it. They think it's just yeah, it's a mess. So I don't know. Anyway, let's continue. So this building is called Het Rijksmuseum, which is basically a museum full of art, mostly of Dutch painters. You can sort of, you know, compare it with the Louvre of Paris. However, Louvre is way bigger. But there are some really good famous paintings in here. You should think about Rembrandt, Van Gogh, Vermeer. I think maybe not Vermeer, but there's a lot of these paintings in here. The biggest attraction is a painting by Rembrandt called Nachtwacht, which is a really famous big painting. It's really beautiful. There are a lot of tourists just coming only to see that painting. It's kind of like, you know, the Mona Lisa in the Louvre. And it's a beautiful building. I really like this building. The problem with me finding this spot is that Amsterdam, well, I'm not really familiar with Amsterdam, so I was basically walking back and forth. But if you just take a map, it's super easy to find. So it's just 2.5 kilometers from the city center, which is, you know, 30 minutes walk. So I'm not going into the museum. I will just go through the other side because I think that there's like a park. There's a lot of noise here. There's a big park on the other side, or not big, like super small actually. Let's see. Okay, so you can look inside. Yeah, they won't show the paintings, of course, which is logic, but they won't show it. But I've been in this museum a few times, to be honest. But I'm sure a lot has changed over the years, because the last time I was here, well, I was, I don't know, 14 maybe. Okay, so we can see, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I can see it. It's getting dark. And not that it's getting dark that the sun is setting, but it's more that the rain is coming. Not looking forward to that, but it was predicted, so. I don't know where the park is, but nonetheless, it's a beautiful building here. And I think it's also quite old, the building itself. Oh yeah, there is a sort of like park, but it's yeah, you know, it's literally just grass. Oh well. Oh, and a fountain, some water. Let's just go there. I'll just take a quick look and then probably I'll be heading back. So in the end, you know, you can see Amsterdam rather quickly in a way. I was here only for 5 hours because I just don't have much time myself. You know, it's getting dark. It's gonna rain anyway. And you know, Amsterdam is great if you just want to hang out. Definitely the nightlife of Amsterdam. So the strange thing is actually that the park you cannot enter. I have no idea why and why they locked it off with gates. Well, actually now that I'm looking, it looks like, you know, it's fake grass, so it's basically grass mats, and it looks like they just put in new ones. All right, so anyway, there you can see it is the Van Gogh Museum. So there are probably mostly the paintings of Van Gogh. It's, you know, definitely like the Netherlands itself is a place for museums and definitely for art. So I would recommend, if you love art, just go to Amsterdam, definitely. So for me, that's the Rijksmuseum, and I'm basically in the middle of, I don't know, well, in Amsterdam of course. So yeah, you can definitely see Amsterdam in 5-6 hours if you just go to the same locations as I do, maybe a little bit more. There is so much more to see, but I just basically don't have time for it. I'm only here for like 5 hours, and then I'm basically going back to the hotel, get some food, and go away early, no, not too early in the morning, to a different city, which I like more, the city. So, and you know, I have no clue about Amsterdam, to be honest. I've been here just a few times and it's too long ago, nor have I ever actually been the tourist in Amsterdam. So yeah, definitely, if you also like, you know, going out in the evening, Amsterdam got you covered, because there are 2 big squares with a lot of bars and restaurants, and it's great, it's awesome. I did it once, it's superb. So definitely. So I'm gonna go back to Central Station, get back on the train, go back to the hotel at Schiphol Airport, and then talk to you there. Or if I find something on my way, of course. I have something that I still want to show you guys, so yeah. All right, let's go. So I actually still want to show you this. This is kind of like a parking spot for bicycles. And so as you can see, there's like a building here, like 2 stories up. And then in the building next to me, there's also still bicycles. And behind the Central Station, also bicycles. Unbelievable. Can you imagine just trying to find your bike? I can't.